Let's talk about another movie that I've just seen and not so amazing. Uncharted is hitting theaters this week, and this is a movie that I was really looking forward to. Obviously, it stars the great Tom Holland, who has been blowing us away with his performance as Peter Parker in the Spider-Man franchise. He's done a great job there, and No Way Home really showed off his acting chops. Unfortunately, with Uncharted, what we get is Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. We get Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland as we know them, whether they're in any other movie or whether they're in talk shows. I mean, it really doesn't give us a sense of who these characters are. Now, they've got a pretty interesting setup with the film. We're going after some lost treasure that's worth billions of dollars, and Mark Wahlberg's, I can't even call him Sully, but Mark Wahlberg wants to entreat Tom Holland to go on this big caper to go and find all of this gold that is, secretly buried somewhere, and they've got to go and find the clues, and of course they go into some tombs and dungeons, and they solve the mystery together. And it starts off kind of like an origin story might. There's a little bit of a backstory where we see a young Nathan Drake, and we see sort of how he picked up some of his predilections for criminal activity, because he's really just a thief in this movie. And of course, that's something that the Uncharted games have explored, that sort of morality kind of fine line that this character has always trod upon. But what this movie really does is it dismisses all of the incredible work that has gone into the creation of these indelible characters. And one of the things that's really been driving me nuts recently, because of course these actors, these highly competent, box office worthy actors that always bring in lots of bank, have been doing is they've been talking about this movie, and they refer to it as a video game movie. And I just watched Mark Wahlberg tell Jimmy Kimmel that you don't even have to know the video game to have a good time with this movie. And therein lies the problem, because we're not talking about any video game turned into a movie. We're talking about one of the most finely crafted video game series in existence, with some of the best storytelling that exists in any medium, and it's been turned into a very by the numbers, forgettable action-adventure experience that could star these actors for anything. I mean, it just does not feel like we are watching a Nathan Drake movie, an Uncharted movie. And it's unbelievably devastating for someone like me who loves this franchise, who has just been so enamored with the quality, the storytelling quality and the characterization quality, the unbelievable actors, not just voice actors, because they're performance captured and they bring so much life to these characters in the game. And then we have these two, successful actors for a reason, but they're just walking through the work. The script is pretty lame and weak sauce as well, because they had 5 excellent Uncharted games, plus extra story stuff to pull from, because there's been, like comic series and other scripted stuff out there. But all of Naughty Dog's incredible work that they could have pulled from, and all they've done is they've taken some ideas that are, some set-piece stunt sequences from the Uncharted films, from the games, and they've repurposed them in a different way for this film, so it kind of alludes to the familiar, and it kind of gives you a sense that, oh yeah, I kind of know some of this stuff from the Uncharted video games, but it's not better, and in fact it's worse, and it's less memorable. I was forgetting the movie, as soon as I left the theater pretty much. I was so disappointed with how half-assed the performances were, just the repartee and the back and forth. I'm not sort of throwing shade at the stunt work, because there's some fine stunt work, and physically it looks like people committed to this, but just the back and forth, the chatter, the camaraderie that we should see exist between Victor Sullivan and Nathan Drake, it's just so weak sauce. They just don't have the charm. They just don't have the back and forth. The actor that plays Chloe Fraser, has in a screenshot, an image, there she is right there, looks okay, but she just doesn't have the fire and the passion and the sense of charm that we got out of Claudia Black's performance of the character in the video game, so she feels completely wasted. Antonio Banderas, who is an unbelievable actor, I love that guy, he's in this thing, and he's one of the interesting elements, but it's wasted. His work is kind of wasted. And then we've got this big bad, and I forgot to find out who the name of the actor is. And she's sort of the villainess that everybody is trying to run from or shoot at or take care of, and she's in charge of all of these mercenaries. There she is holding a knife to Mark Wahlberg's head. See, I can't even call them their characters. To me, they are not their characters. And she looks good. She looks menacing, but she's... I don't know. It just looks like she spent more time making her cool hairstyle than sort of bringing real sort of menace to the performance. And I have to say this too, because I just feel like seeing Wahlberg and Tom Holland together, they could be the same freaking person. It's like we see Tom Holland 20 years later. We have the 25-year-old version of the same character, and then we have the 45-year-old version, or maybe he's closer to 50 now. But they look identical. They have the same haircut, they have the same build, and when you see them running, you can't always tell who is who, except that they focus a little bit more time on Tom Holland because he's the hot new, and Mark Wahlberg leaves the screen for a little bit. But they just look the same, and they sound the same. They have the same kind of East Coast accent, and they're both trying to outsmart-ass each other. And it's just like, why didn't you put a little effort into it? Why didn't you put some gray, at least, in Mark Wahlberg's hair? Why is the mustache a big freaking reveal in this movie? That's the character of Victor Sullivan. Why didn't you have that? Look at all of this excellent work that we have in the games to be able to discern these characters and to see, the differences between them and to get the subtleties. And they didn't do any of that. These are just generic action heroes, and they're virtually the same dude. And it's so frustrating, man. They didn't change their voices. Mark Wahlberg didn't add an extra sort of aged timbre to anything at all. And it might as well just be Peter Parker as Nathan Drake in this movie. And I was just deflated, It was just so absolutely forgettable. And what drives me nuts, of course, is that this is a big year for Sony with this game coming out, with the Uncharted 4 game coming out, and the movie is out there now, and The Last of Us is coming, and Naughty Dog is, sort of helping to shape all of this stuff. There are some interesting set pieces, like the much publicized plane sequence where we see all of the cargo blast out of the back of it, but we've already experienced that in Uncharted 3, and it was better, and that's what drives me nuts. It's like, okay, well, it's not like you had just some concept art on the wall and some ideas on a script. You had excellent visual documentation of how to put these stories together and how to put these characters together in something that was going to really give us a gut punch and we were going to care about. And it's so forgettable. It's so freaking disappointing. I honestly just want them to scrub it. I hope it doesn't do well. I really do. I want them to scrub it. I want them to recast it. I think these actors are not right for the role. They're great actors. They're not right for the roles. I just didn't believe them in their roles. I thought they were just kind of there because it was being made. There was no passion behind it. And honestly, the video game industry and the movie industry can work together quite well. We saw that with Sonic the Hedgehog. I cheekily pointed out that I enjoyed the Prince of Persia movie that Jake Gyllenhaal did in a tweet about this show today, more than this movie, which... that's inexcusable. It's 2022. We've had all of these failures all the way along with video game movies, and this is just another one. It's just heap it on the pile. The Tomb Raider movies are much better than this junk. It's so forgettable and disappointing, and I was just deflated. I walked out going, how the hell do you screw this up? How do you screw it up? I want to spoil stuff, but I'm not going to spoil stuff, but it is just it's such a lame piece of work. And I don't know who to cast the blame at, but it's just not worthy. It's not worthy of the name. And honestly, Uncharted is some of the best storytelling there is. It way better than it had any right to be, because when we first started playing those games, it was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Indiana Jones, and it's kind of cute and stuff, and but how are they going to differentiate? And they did. How are they going to be better or different from Tomb Raider and as valid as And they were. And they got better. And Uncharted 2 is one of the best story video game experience hybrids ever. And these characters are unforgettable, except when you cast Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg as these characters, and other actors that I don't even know or care about. And God, I just don't want them to make more. I want them to start over. And I was so frustrated. I think you can tell. I really did not like this movie at all. And it's because I have obviously, I have a passion for the characters and the stories from the games. I just cannot believe it. And honestly, the film business has no right to take these properties, especially at this level, and not excel, not make them better. You know, like if you're going to take these and reinterpret them, how arrogant is it to just dismiss all of the incredible work that has gone into crafting these experiences and these characters and these moments, and just say, we'll just sort of tweak it and turn it into... It's like if they took the Batman origin story and they made young Bruce Wayne a killer there, you know, like he stopped his parents from being killed, and he got off on being a guy that could beat up bad guys, and then he becomes Batman. It's like, it's so infuriating. A little interpretation is fine, but they went off the rails with this one, and it starts with the casting. I mean, we were all in shock when they said Tom Holland is going to be Nathan Drake, and I got to tell you, it's worse than I imagined. It's much worse than I imagined. I thought, okay, all right, they're going to play with this. They're going to really kind of add some emotional layers, and you don't give a crap about anybody in this movie. It's awful. Oh, God, what a disappointment. I have to tell you, one of the things that just drives me insane about this thing, Uncharted has some of the best music in games, too. It's got, at every level. It's at the top of the medium. At every level. You don't take the best of the medium and then turn it into crap, forgettable crap. That's exactly what they did. With the music in Uncharted is so memorable. It's so rich with adventure, and it fills you with emotion. You walk away from the games, you're humming they didn't even use the theme song. I looked at my watch. We were about an hour and 40 minutes into the movie before the da 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 before that came in, and they used it in such a sort of nondescript, sort of like elevator muzak way, and all of the rest of the music throughout the movie is just so forgettable. It's just like, we should be excited now, except I wasn't. I didn't care. I didn't believe that there was ever any danger. I think you get it. This movie sucks. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, and it's only because I liked some of the stunt work in this thing, and I don't even know if that was Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg in those sequences. Oh, so disappointed.